Legion contract for the bar covers, does it automatically cover the Olson Cultural Events Center events? Does it automatically cover the convention center? And what else?
It's just the convention center.
It's just the convention center, okay, okay. So, okay, I was just curious, I wasn't 100% sure what was all under that.
Jason, do you have an estimate on when the letting of whatever the contract's going to be is going to happen?
I probably mailed, Mike, I mailed that notice last Thursday, maybe, I want to say. So I was going to give it time. They already know. I mean, they've been told already. I mean, so they're aware of it. I just did the formality of sending the notice. I wanted to wait at least until midweek of this week to start advertising it to make sure that they received that letter. And boy, we'll probably have it out there for at least a couple weeks to get proposals because we want to make sure we get it in place well enough ahead of time, the July 1st ahead of time. So Jessica and those who have already committed to renting the facility and wanting bar service aren't having to make last minute changes. So we'll try to get a result as soon as we can.
Any other questions for Jason? It's good news about Sierra DeBoer. We'll be excited to welcome her to City of Lawrence. I think I know her, who she is. I think she was in my daughter's class. So,
I know her dad, that's all I am.
yeah. Anyhow. Jacob, do you have anything?
Just a quick budget update. So we've gotten through all the committee meetings. So now I'm just working to put all the budget books together. On the February 1st meeting, we'll have our workshop where after the council meeting, we'll have the department heads come in and kind of go through the budget. Right now, we're looking at in the general fund right around a $200,000 shortfall. So we'll kind of have to discuss how we want to meet that up, if we want to use fund balance, if we want to make some more cuts. So budget books will go out next week, so you guys will have some time to review, which we'll have that workshop.
That meeting's one of the longer meetings for you new council people, just so you're prepared.
Did you have a date already?
It's after the next council meeting, on February 1st.
Are those books hard copy of them?
I can do electronic if you want. Generally, yes, just hard copy, but I can do a PDF.
Are you going to phone in?
I don't know.
Well, the reason I'm asking, I'll just bring it up, I'm probably going to make an enemy here.
Okay.
I'm probably a criticized enemy here, but because I value his opinion is why I'm bringing it up. Do we want to reschedule that workshop to accommodate Mr. Donald?
We could.
I mean, I'm not trying to, but seriously, that's a pretty important meeting.
It would have to be not around a council meeting because we won't have enough time if we waited till the second council meeting.
You mean we wouldn't have enough time to get it all done?
Yeah.
I mean,
When are you gone, Mike?
In about a half hour.
Until?
Returning a few days after.
but can you phone in, can you phone in, Mike? I value your talk on this, I mean, your stuff on this, and
I'm very flattered, and
Let me look. We might be able to do it at the second one in February. I know we have to set our max dollar hearing for the next one.
I think I would prefer everybody be in person if we can.
Okay, I'll look at
But if
that.
it doesn't work out, the life goes on, okay? I mean, and I get that, but then I would really like.
yeah, I wish we hadn't planned this long before the budget schedule stuff came out, because I've got very little to do right
And then that's okay, Mike, that's okay, and I get that, but
Yeah.
We've done them before on non-council days too.
Yeah, we could do it on a non-council day. It doesn't have to.
But I also want to be respectful of four others' schedules too.
The sooner I
So,
know, the better.
you know, what's that?
The sooner I know, the better.
Yeah, so I mean, let's try to work something out, whatever. If not, it is what it is.
And historically, it's always been on the first meeting in February.
Right.
But
Right, all right. Well, I just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay. Council mayor discussion, we'll go back the other way. Mark, do you have anything? No, you? I don't, I do not. Right. Mike?
No.
Actually, can we back up?
Yes.
I did go out and meet with a citizen who had left a paper in my mailbox a couple days after the election. So I finally got around to meeting with him, but I wanted to at least be on the council first about some traffic issues. And so, and I know I spoke with the streets guy last meeting, and so I just went out and did a little fact finding tour, talked to a couple of neighbors. So I'm gonna follow up on that. Nothing probably to address today, but it's by one of the schools, an issue with parking and traffic. I just wanted to be responsive to his concerns.
I'm probably working on the same thing,
Perhaps.
so we should probably talk.
Yeah, we could. I just wanted to bring up that I'm following up on that kind of on my own first before I see if there's anything we want to do about it.
Excellent, sounds good.
It's the right way to think.
We, you know, I will report that the budget meetings were a lot for me because of scheduling, but that it was very fulfilling, and I learned a lot, and the citizens of Lamarge should feel very good in the council representatives that they have here. Everybody took everything very, very seriously and researched it, and I was impressed, so anyhow, so. One last thing on budget too, Jacob, you said we're about 200. Okay, I've got, you know, the master sheet, and I'm moving us backwards, so I'm seeing about 300.
Okay.
Because there's a few things that I'm actually putting back in,
Yep.
because I'm thinking,
Right.
I ain't gonna deny anybody a bulletproof vest, that's all there is to it. I'm not gonna deny anybody a bulletproof, they're going back in. So, we'll talk down a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, things can definitely be added back in that perspective.
So, all right, good. Okay. Now we'll go to the annual report for wastewater. Doug?
Hello. So Doug Massoon, I am the superintendent of wastewater treatment facility and collection system. I just took over as superintendent January 1st of this year. So that makes this my first one, so everybody has to be really nice to me. I don't want to get yelled at. So I want to start on the front page, just the pictures on the front. Most people don't know what goes on in a wastewater plant, so I'm just going to give you a real simple, brief kind of explanation. So the first picture of that jar is our city raw influent. That is our influent that's coming into the city plant. The second picture is our industrial raw influent, and that is going out 3 West, that industrial part of the facility. So what we do with these two influents is we change them into 3 things. Clean water, which is our final effluent, that goes into the river. Biosolids, that is used as, applied as fertilizer on farm ground, and methane gas. So that's a simple version of what goes on at the wastewater plant. Mother Nature will do the same thing. You can take 100 gallons of waste and throw it down. She'll turn into the same 3 things, but she'll probably take a month or 2 to do it. Wastewater plant does it in 8 to 10 hours. Okay, so as we're going through, wastewater is full of a bunch of acronyms. So when I start rattling something off and you want the explanation, just let me know. So on our loadings, we had almost 781 million gallons of raw wastewater come to our plant in 2021. Now that's an average of 2.14 million gallons per day. So I'm gonna get back in my soapbox a little bit there. 2.14 million gallons a day is a big number to wrap your head around. Nobody knows what it looks like. So to put it in perspective, our outdoor swimming pool holds 355,000. So the city of Mars can fill that swimming pool 6 times a day with raw wastewater.
Please don't.
Yeah. Well,
Can we fix that?
if we need room, we need room. But I will say this isn't, you don't just fill it once. This is 7 days a week, 365 days a year. 2.14 million gallons coming at us. So the next thing, in that 781 million gallons of waste, there was almost, or a little over 8 million pounds of CBOD, with an average removal efficiency of 99.3%. There was also a little over 3.7 million pounds of TSS, with an average removal efficiency of 96.7. Now I'm just going to talk about CBOD and TSS just a little bit. It's an industry standard test that tells how strong that wastewater is. So gallons or total gallons is one thing, but strength at wastewater is another thing. It gets a lot harder to treat stronger wastewater. So as you can see in the next bar graph there, we'll back up. On our removal efficiency, we are required to take 85% of that TSS and BOD out in our permit. So we're doing very well there. So down to the bar graph there, from 2020 to 2021, we did have a little bit of less gallons. The bar graph kind of blows it out of proportion. We had 123,000 less gallons from the previous year. So on 781 million gallons, that's a drop in the bucket. So jumping down to our pie graphs. So of that 781 million gallons of raw wastewater, we broke it down as to where that flow comes from. So the pink portion at 55%, that's your citizens and small businesses. The green portion at 35% is Wells Enterprises, and the blue portion at 10% is DFA Chems. So that's where we get our gallons from. Now, new to this report this year is the next two pie graphs. Again, the CBOD and TSS, that's our strength. So I broke it down where we get our strength from. 17% comes from citizens and small businesses. The green, 62%, comes from Wells Enterprises. And then the blue, 21%, comes from DFA Chems. So those pie graphs kind of paint a little different picture of gallons versus strength of loading. So CBOD and TSS kind of track the same, which is kind of something interesting to look at. So moving on to our wastewater lab. The wastewater lab is a state certified lab that performed over 19,188 tests last year. So the next part is all of the tests that we broke down and how many tests we did for each one. Almost 20,000 tests is quite a bit, so we do quite a bit in the lab. We do have to send out some samples to other certified labs. Those are for parameters that we are not certified with the state of Iowa to test, but they are still required that we do them on our permit. So that's a list of the tests that we have sent out. We sent out 532 tests. So we handle everything in-house that we possibly can. Also with the wastewater lab, they conducted and passed the DMRQA, Discharge Monitoring Report Quality Assurance. This is a testing requirement that keeps the lab EPA certified. So what that entails is the supplier sends us a sample, we have to run our tests on it, get our results, we tell them our results, and they tell us if we pass or fail. If we fail, we have to explain why, we have to figure out the cause, we have to retest. So we went through that very smoothly this year, all passes, so we're good. So every month, we submit a discharge monitoring report to the Iowa DNR. This gives them a complete report of our test results to monitor compliance or violations on our NPDES permit. The next part is something I don't want to talk about, but it's something we need to. So these are our violations that the city had at the wastewater plant last year. So in March, we did have a ammonia violation for the month. In May, we did have a TSS 7-day average violation. In May, we also had a TSS 30-day average violation. In March, we also failed a toxicity test. And in April, we failed another toxicity test. So a toxicity test is simply, put it in layman's term, a fish kill test. So we send our sample of our final effluent that's going to the river to an outside lab. They put in so many flathead minnows and so many cetiphilia, which is just a fish flea, and it's a 48-hour test. You are not allowed to kill more than 10% of those. So we failed 2 of those. On a positive note, we did pass in August of 21 and November of 21. But on a negative note, once you fail 3 of those tox tests in a row, which we did dating back to 2020, 2 and 21, you automatically get put onto a TRE, Toxicity Reduction Evaluation. This is ordered by the Iowa DNR. We have no choice. Once we fail 3, here it is. So what that entailed is sending more of our farnet effluent out to the lab that did our tox test. They analyze it and get very deep into it and trying to figure out what is in there that's causing the toxicity. When we made this report, we did not have that report of those findings out yet. Yesterday it did come through. We're still kind of digesting exactly what the cause is and how we're going to fix it. So the wastewater lab also tracks the design capacity of parameters CBOD and TSS. So for CBODs in 2021, the wastewater facility operated at 114% of design capacity. For TSS in 2021, the facility operated at 96% of design capacity. Now we've been handling it, we're doing really good on it, but we're pushing the limits of what these plants can handle. Another fun fact on design capacity. Our capacity for gallons per day is 3.14 million gallons a day. Now, I said before, would we average 2.1 million gallons a day? So we're good on gallon-wise. When they break this down in the permit, they also tell you the population equivalent of our plants. So that's based on that 3.14 million gallons. If it was just residents that we were handling at the wastewater plant, we have the capacity to handle 114,970 people. So we have a very big wastewater facility for a town of 10,329. So when you start talking other wastewater facilities around the state, you have to take in mind, we are a big facility. So another fun topic that I didn't want to have to talk about, we did get a call back in November from the EPA. They came out and conducted a full compliance inspection at the wastewater facility. To my knowledge, this has never been done before at the Lawrence facility. It got some people a little nervous. The inspection was triggered by our failed toxicity test. So it's just another whammy that we got nailed on. The EPA agent did come out on a Monday afternoon. He was with us until Thursday morning. So he was very thorough. He checked under every stone, all of our data, all of our paperwork. I think it went fairly well, but we have not received the finalized report from the EPA, and there is a possibility they may put us into a compliance order where they say we have to fix this now. So as of yet, we do not have the results for that. So moving on to wastewater staff. We currently have 6 full-time employees with hours of operation from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, and along with rotating on Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. And I'm sure most of you are aware we have experienced a lot of staffing changes in 2021. We had Ron Kaiser retire after 38 years of service. Al McDermott retired after 33 years of experience. And our assistant superintendent resigned to take a position with another municipality. I believe he had about 18 years of experience. So we lost 3 guys with a lot of experience, and they all had grade 4 licensing. So the next is just a list of who's filling what role now. And like Jason said, we do have 2 operator jobs open that we hope to be doing some interviews for pretty soon to try and get us back up to whole. But at the present time, we are understaffed. So in 2021, the wastewater staff responded to 15 sewer calls and 41 callbacks by the SCADA system. So sewer calls can be anything from a resident calling saying it's backed up in my basement. Can you come take a look? So we go out and look, see if the city main is plugged or not. 15 seems a little bit low. It seems like it was a lot more than that, but that's all we have recorded. And the 41 callbacks by the SCADA system, that is our computer system that monitors our wastewater facility. So if a pump goes down in the middle of the night, that computer knows, hey, something's wrong, call somebody out. And it seems like we did way more than 41, but I'll guarantee most of them are from midnight to 4 in the morning, it seems like. So the wastewater staff also completed over 1,986 work orders for an average of 38 of those per week. That's a computer-generated work order system. Could be as simple as checking a belt to make sure it's still good enough, or it could be tearing a pump apart, rebuilding it, inspecting it. So some of them take 5 minutes, some of them might take a week to complete. So almost 2,000 of those in a year is pretty impressive. So on to our biosolids. That is that black jar on the front page that we apply as fertilizer. So we generated a little over 9.8 million gallons of that beautiful black digested sludge. And that was land applied to 567 acres by umbilical injection. Moving on to the collection system. The City of Lamars maintains approximately 72.5 miles of sanitary sewer lines throughout the city. I think that's actually a low number. With all the new additions and stuff, we need to get an updated number on that, but it kind of puts in mind how many miles of sewer is in the system. The wastewater personnel inspect, rebuild, and repair 15 lift stations throughout the city. In 2021, sanitary sewer in Section 2, we had a contractor clean almost 62,000 feet. That's with a big vac truck. We clean out a sewer line and make sure it's good. And they also televised almost 28,000 feet. The reason we do this, we clean a quarter of the town per year to make sure everything's flowing, do our due diligence to make sure nobody has problems, nobody wants backed up stuff in their basement. And then we also televise a 1/12 of the city every year. So we're checking to see if these lines are cracked, if we've got tree root problems, if we got something jammed in there that shouldn't be in there. So we're always going to be cleaning and televising every year to make sure the citizens don't have problems. The staff repaired or replaced 15 manhole rings and covers